with Bray Wyatt sadly passing away, we are now learning the truth about his family and his 2 daughters from a previous marriage. At the time of Bray's passing, he was engaged to be married to Jojo, and they had 2 children together. But what about Bray's other children? Some fans may not know that Bray had 2 daughters with his then wife, Samantha, but the couple would sadly divorce, and Bray would lose custody of his 2 daughters. And then obviously he would go on to become engaged to Jojo and have 2 more children. So who are these 2 daughters that Bray had many years before he met Jojo? And what was his relationship with them at the time of his passing? In 2011, Bray's daughter, Kendall, was born. Obviously, a father's firstborn creates a special bond between father and daughter. And it seemed like Bray and Kendall did have a very special relationship. And then 2 years later, in 2013, Bray welcomed another daughter, Kaden. And everything seemed to be going great with not only Bray's daughters, but Bray's marriage and family. Sadly, in 2017, Bray Wyatt and his then wife, Samantha, would divorce. And then the question became, who would get custody of Bray's 2 daughters? Well, after a lengthy court battle over alimony, child support, and custody, Bray's ex-wife won, and she got full custody of their 2 daughters, and Bray would be able to see the 2 daughters possibly every weekend or every other weekend. The good thing is that they all lived in the same small town of Brooksville. Divorce is obviously very, very tough, and it becomes even tougher when children are involved. And it was a very nasty divorce. Bray did everything he could to make sure his relationship with his 2 daughters was the best it could be under the very difficult circumstances. But some very shocking and scary things would end up happening to Bray and his 2 daughters. After Bray Wyatt got divorced, he didn't stay single for long, as he began dating WWE ring announcer Jojo, and they ended up having 2 children together, a son in 2019 named Nash, and a daughter in 2020 named Hyrie. So Bray now had 4 children, and as we know, sometimes when you get remarried and you have children from a previous marriage and you have new children within your new marriage, sometimes the children from the previous marriage can get lost in the shuffle. But Bray did his best not to let that happen. Bray continued to see his daughters at every opportunity that was available. But sadly, because Bray did not have full custody of his 2 daughters, he missed out on a lot of memorable moments. There was nothing he could do about it. The courts decided in his wife's favor. I'm sure he missed a lot of their soccer games, as they loved to play sports. Bray probably also missed spending holidays with them, including Halloween. And as we know, Halloween is probably one of Bray's favorite holidays, where you can get dressed up in a costume. And it seems like his daughters loved Halloween just like him. But sadly, he just couldn't be there with them on that day, or on Christmas Day, and watching them open presents and making new lasting memories that would last forever. But Bray missing these things was not his fault. This was because he just legally didn't have custody, and he did the best he could. And that is probably one reason why he was so devoted to Jojo and the 2 children that he had with her, because he could be there every day, every hour. He could be there. Whereas the 2 daughters that he had with his ex-wife, legally, he couldn't be there unless it was time to do a scheduled visitation that the court set up. So that obviously had to weigh heavy on Bray Wyatt, and that could be why he had 2 children with Jojo so quickly, even before they got married, because he probably did miss having kids in the house all the time. Because if you look at it, Bray Wyatt, in some ways, was a kid at heart. His Firefly Funhouse segments, doing a parody of a children's show. It shows that Bray probably loved having his own children, and it pained him greatly to not be able to see them when he wanted to. So he met Jojo. They had 2 children of their own, and by all accounts, the 2 children that he had with Jojo got along great with his 2 daughters from his previous marriage. In fact, when Bray Wyatt would have custody of his daughters for the weekend, everyone would get along great. There wasn't any kind of grudge or infighting or jealousy. It seemed like Bray's daughters understood that their parents got a divorce, and it's tough. And Bray started a new family, and Bray did his best to try and include his 2 daughters with his new family so that they didn't feel left out, or that he liked his children with Jojo better than them. So everybody got along great. It looked like their stepmother, Jojo, really loved them just as much as Bray, but obviously things ended in a very, very sad way. Bray's daughters lost their father on August 24th, 2023, when in his sleep he suffered a massive heart attack and passed away at the age of 36. I can't even imagine the devastation that his 2 daughters, Kendall and Caden, must have felt when they found out that their dad is gone. It must have been heartbreaking, and I'm sure it's still heartbreaking, and they probably will never get over it. But his 2 daughters will be able to hold on to the amazing memories that they had with their father, who truly did his best to make sure that his divorce from their mother didn't negatively affect his 2 daughters, as he tried to do everything he could to protect them, to make sure they have the best life possible. What are your thoughts about Bray Wyatt and his 2 daughters, Kendall and Caden? And do you think we'll ever see any of Bray's 4 children decide to become a wrestler and compete in WWE someday? Leave a comment below and give me your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell notification so you are notified when we upload a new video.